Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here, and you are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching, and welcome to Thursday's edition of the dceu Daily. If you're feeling charitable, please smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and please follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. The cinema theatrical experience is dead. It is dead. You are not paying attention if you're living in denial over that. So, some controversy coming from Warner Brothers, the very studio who own the rights to all these DC characters and the DCEU. So we need to talk about what happened. Now, John Stankey was talking about major changes being made through releases of Warner Brothers movies. He is, I think, is he the chief exec of Warner Brothers Studios or AT&T? And Sarnoff then came back and assured everyone that Tenet and Wonder Woman 84 would absolutely be released in movie theatres. I'm going to tell you what I think about all of this and how I think about the movie theatre experience. It's quite a controversial opinion, so buckle up, get the popcorn in mouths. Let's talk about this article in Hollywood Reporter. Warner Brothers brass reaffirm commitment to theatrical movies. Studio chief Ann Sarnoff and her boss, Warner Media chief John Stankey, issued statements late Wednesday clarifying comments made to investors. Warner Brothers late Wednesday reaffirmed the studio's commitment to the cinematic experience in hopes of clearing up confusion over comments made to investors by Warner Brothers boss John Stankey earlier in the day about the future of theatrical models. First of all, right, media shouldn't be privy to what studio heads say to investors. It's none of our concern. It's nothing to do with anything. And this is where the situation does get muddled and confused. We are committed to and are excited about releasing Tenet in theatres this summer or whenever theatres reopen. We remain supportive of the theatrical experience, and our exhibition partners are confident that our tentpole titles, including Tenet and Wonder Woman 84, are exactly the type of films that will have people eager to return to theatres, you think? Warner Brothers CEO Ann Sarnoff said in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter. Stankey also weighed in, saying in his own statement to The Hollywood Reporter, theatrical films have always been a major part of our ecosystem. I fully expect that as we evaluate our business going forward, we will continue to champion creative work that is worthy of the theatrical experience. During an investors' call earlier in the day, Stankey addressed the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has resulted in theatre closures and production delays, along with a surge in streaming and on-demand entertainment viewing in the home. This experience will change many things, including customer behaviours and expectations. We're evaluating our product distribution strategy, really looking at volumes and the required support levels we need in a down economy. We're rethinking our theatrical model and looking for ways to accelerate efforts that are consistent with the rapid changes in consumer behaviour from the pandemic, the exec added. Now, our focus is on defining and leveraging the new normal across all of our operations. Stankey referenced Tuesday's announcement that Warner Brothers Scoob won't wait for theatres to reopen. Instead, the animated family film will be made available for rental in the home on May 15th. The movie's original theatrical release date. His remarks could have been taken out of context. According to box office analyst, case in point, Warner Brothers has otherwise delayed the rest of its high-profile movies so they can play in theatres once cinemas reopen, beginning with Christopher Nolan's Tenet on July the 17th. Nolan is a passionate advocate of seeing films on the big screen, and his upcoming pick is the only July release that has stuck to its original schedule. I tell you what, we need to talk about Tenet. I know it's not DCEU related, but I think it's very important. Also in the near future, the studio is also planning to bow Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 1984 on August 14th. The superhero sequel was originally set to fly into theatres in early June. Hollywood's current hope is that cinemas will begin turning the lights on by late June in order to ramp up for Tenet and Disney's Mulan on July 24th. Aside from Scoob, the only other studio effort to scrap its theatrical release and go straight on demand is Universal's DreamWorks Animation's Trolls World Tour. Sources say both family films had a major merchandising component that made the delay difficult. I tell you what though, that Trolls World Tour was very, very successful on demand. And I think this is what Stanky's alluding to. Scoob will be available to rent and purchase for $19.99 and $24.99 respectively on May the 15th. Stanky said the family pick will subsequently be given an exclusive run at some point on HBO Max, the new subscription service set to launch in late May. The theatrical business is obviously a stressed business right now. When theatres are closed, it's hard to generate revenue, and don't expect that's going to be a snapback, Stanky told investors, adding, I think that's going to be something that we're going to have to watch. The formation of consumer confidence, not just about going to the movies, just in general about being back out in public and understanding what's occurring there. You see, Stanky does make some good points, but let's just talk about Tenet, the Christopher Nolan written and directed movie. Now, we know that Christopher Nolan will be absolutely, he's already had these forms signed up before he even made the film, that this film must be an extended cinematic theatrical release. That can't change. The date can't change. Nolan won't allow it. And at this moment, that date's okay. I think what's happening is because Scoob was announced to go on demand, everyone started adding 2 and 2 together and getting 600. So all of a sudden we hear Scoob's going on demand. It's going on streaming services. So what happens is everyone starts talking about Wonder Woman 84 again. Everyone starts talking about Tenet again. And that's really the problem. It's bored people. It's bored journalists. Now, what Stanky said is very, very interesting. But Stanky, of course, was not talking about Tenet and Wonder Woman 84. Let me tell you why Warner Brothers are determined to release these two movies in theatres. Because that's how they can make the most money. Or is it? We've spoken about this before, and I've said, if we have pay-per-view prices on Tenet and Wonder Woman 84, they can make just as much money for a home release. Now, a lot of people got upset about what Stanky said yesterday, and I think that's why Ann Sarnoff had to come out and say something, and that's why Stanky had to reaffirm what he said, or let's just say re-edit what he said. This is the problem when you listen to investor statements. Because what Stanky's actually talking about, he's talking about the future of the cinematic experience. Now, for all its existence, studios have always been able to kind of predict our behaviours when we go to cinema. This is why they can kind of predict what kind of box office a movie's going to get even before they sell a ticket. They know our habits, but now the whole world has been isolating and been on lockdown for a couple of months. People are not going to be confident they can't get the virus if they go out when we're told it's okay to go out. They're worried that people are not going to want to sit in cinemas right next to people. They're worried that people won't want to go out for the cinematic experience because they're going to be too afraid. Ultimately, they're worried about the future of the theatrical experience. They're worried about the future of cinema. Now, if you're one of those people who wants to preserve that experience, and I would imagine studios want to preserve that experience because cinema is one lot of revenue. Home streaming is another set of revenue, and Blu-ray and DVD still make at least 25% of the revenue. So that's very important too. So how can studios like Warner Brothers bring back consumer confidence in going out, going to the cinema? Well, what you could do is you could pull all the chairs out, I'm being serious, make sure every chair is 2 meters apart from the other. I don't think that's the case right now, I could be wrong. So what you could do is you could build cinemas for a new world, for a new mentality. Make sure there's space. Now, there's a problem with that, of course, because you're getting less people in each screen, right? That is a problem, but ultimately, having a few less people in the screen is better than no people at all. So what would happen is if you did release a big blockbuster via streaming, you would have to charge at least $50 to $70 per viewing, right? It's a lot of money. A lot of people could reject that and not bother, but I'm thinking people are going to want to see the next Star Wars film, the next Wonder Woman 84 movie, the next Superman film, the next MCU movie. I think most people will be willing to pay, but it's change and people don't like it. And a lot of people are passionate about the cinematic theatrical experience. I'm not. I never have been. I'll be honest with you, the only reason I go to the cinema is to watch a Star Wars film or a Superman film or another DC film. I'm very specific about what I go and see because I don't really particularly enjoy sitting there with a bunch of strangers watching a film. The only reason I go to the cinema is because that is the only avenue of watching a brand new film. I don't want to wait 6 months till it's out. There are films I'm willing to wait for, as we all are. But if in 6 months J.J. Abrams' Superman movie comes out, I want to go and see it. If they re-release Superman the movie in cinemas again, or Man of Steel or something like that, I want to go and see it. That's one of my favourite movies. And if that's the only way I can see those movies, yes, absolutely yes. But would I miss the cinematic experience? No, I don't care for it. It doesn't bother me. I just want an avenue where I can see this film. This TV is 50-inch, right? It's got Dolby Vision. It's got Dolby Atmos, right? There's nothing that this TV gives me. Basically, there's nothing that a cinema screen gives me that this platform can't. I have it all in the comfort of my own home, and all I have to do is press buy. I'm lucky. I can afford to do that. I understand that when we talk about sterling, a cinema ticket now is about 10 quid, maybe $15, $20 or whatever it is in your different kind of monies, right? It will be cheaper. And they would have to charge $50 to $70 to make at least $1 billion on an MCU movie. Maybe even more at those prices. But do I believe that cinemas can survive this? I believe there's a problem. Cinemas have been losing money for a very long time. That's Hollywood's fault for not making more varied movies that embrace the consumer to go to the cinema more often. Right now, people are only going to the cinema for big blockbusters. And they're lucky, I suppose, at Disney that they have 3 or 4 MCU movies a year, right? DC have a couple, right? But there's not enough variety with good films, interesting films, to go to the cinema. Cinemas have been losing money to the home movie experience for a very, very long time. This is a fact. And this pandemic could absolutely kill the theatre, the movie theatre off for good, for absolutely good. And as I say, I don't care about that. If you told me, Mick, you got on the phone, right? And you said, Mick, guess what? Wonder Woman 84 is going straight to Amazon Prime. You can buy it for 50 quid for one viewing. I'm going to be excited. I put the microwave on. I stick the popcorn in, right? I'm going to be really, really happy about that. But there are so many people who are passionate and love. That is their social The thing is, people say it's a social experience. It's not. Because when I sit in the cinema, I can't talk to anyone. I can't make a noise. I can't interact with everyone. Yeah, when everyone laughs, you laugh, and there's some atmosphere there. I understand. I personally don't need that experience. So I think also with Warner Brothers right now, you've got Stanky at one end, you've got Sarnoff at the other. You need to have one voice. But obviously this guy was at an investors meeting, something the media shouldn't have been privy to anyway. But what he told them is the fact. They have got to wait until the lockdowns are over to see the behaviour patterns of people. And if the cinema experience isn't making the money anymore, they will change it. They will release more and more films via the home, via streaming. What I would guess is at first, maybe allowing a cinematic film to be out for maybe 2 weeks and then releasing it at home just for rental, right? Amazon Prime have already been testing this, right? I've noticed you can rent a couple of the films that they basically took out the cinemas early, right? Because no one was able to go to the cinemas, and they were charging what, 18, 20 pounds sterling or whatever it is in dollars. So they're already trying to see if this experiment can work. So Stank is absolutely right in what he says. I don't disagree with him. Personally, as I said, I don't care. But I want to know what you think. Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.